the era of turbulent interaction between Chinese and Western cultures, Tsinghua embraced the responsibility of educating students in both Chinese and Western learning. In 1956, Tsinghua moved to Taiwan. It focused on research related to nuclear energy and engineering. It moreover worked to educate scientists that could contribute to the country's economic takeoff. With the establishment of the colleges of humanities and social sciences, life sciences, electrical engineering and computer science, technology management, education, art, and the Taipei School of Economics and Political Science, Tsinghua has greatly expanded its academic coverage. Interdisciplinary exchange thrives. International collaborations connect Tsinghua to the world.
At the National Tsinghua University, we believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to explore and to realize their unique potential. We will uphold our core values of inclusivity, equality, and diversity in everything we do. In the recent years, we have established College of Education, College of Arts, Taipei School of Economics and Political Science, College of Semiconductor Research, and Department of Medicine in the training of future clinicians. NTHU is now a truly research-intensive, comprehensive university with a strong emphasis on interdisciplinary learning and research. Going forward, we will diligently safeguard academic freedom and shared governance as an integral part of our social responsibility and sustainable development.
Tsinghua is a top-ranked university founded in 1911. A century later, I encountered distinguished professors, technology, and the humanities at Tsinghua. Tsinghua houses a treasure trove of interdisciplinary knowledge. I am pursuing a double major in music and chemical engineering. I compose symphonies with math.
Tsinghua's a dazzling stage.
As a global pioneer in materials science, Tsinghua has made the research of high-entropy materials possible and rewritten the history of alloy. For the first time in Taiwan, quantum computers that perform cryptographic tasks have successfully demonstrated the capacity to prevent future malicious hacks.
Research in brain science and AI at Tsinghua is thriving, as evidenced by our being first in the world to reverse engineer the brain neural network of a fruit fly. Tsinghua has furthermore developed an AI chip that imitates the vision circuit of a fruit fly. This type of cutting-edge technologies have also been applied in smart farming and in enhancing the quality and quantity of agricultural products.
Taking advantage of our interdisciplinary age, scientists at Tsinghua have devoted themselves to research on precision medicine. Now there's a hope for patients with Parkinson's disease. Hundreds of patients experiencing cancer recurrence have moreover been cured through our technique of boron neutron capture therapy.
Applying big data to historical research, we have solved the historical mystery of dream of the ray chamber.
The history of Tsinghua is a history of China meeting the West.
Tsinghua was founded in 1911 during the era of turbulent interaction between Chinese and Western cultures. Tsinghua embraced the responsibility of educating students in both Chinese and Western learning. In 1956, Tsinghua moved to Taiwan. It focused on research related to nuclear energy and engineering. It moreover worked to educate scientists that could contribute to the country's economic takeoff. With the establishment of the colleges of humanities and social sciences, life sciences, electrical engineering and computer science, technology management, education, art, and the Taipei School of Economics and Political Science, Tsinghua has greatly expanded its academic coverage. Interdisciplinary exchange thrives. International collaborations connect Tsinghua to the world.
Microphone test.
At the
1, 2,
National
3.
Tsinghua University,
Microphone test.
we believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to explore and to realize their unique potential. We will uphold our core values of inclusivity, equality, and diversity in everything we do. In the recent years, we have established College of Education, College of Arts, Taipei School of Economics and Political Science, College of Semiconductor Research, and Department of Medicine.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the training
the
of
opening
future
ceremony
clinicians.
of the 13th Congress of
NTHU.
the Asian Association of Environmental and Resources Economics will begin in 3 minutes. If you haven't done so already, please take your seat.
This seminar will be recorded and photographed by promotional purpose. By participating, you agree to this. If you have any concerns, please inform our staff. We can arrange for you to sit outside the camera's range or ensure your image is not included in any public materials.
本研讨会将进行摄影及录影，影像资料可能会用于宣传。参与及表示您同意。如有疑虑，请告知工作人员。我们可以安排您坐在摄影范围外的区域，或确保您的影像不会出现在公开的影像资料中。 Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony of the 13th Congress of the Asian Association of Environmental and Resource Economics will begin in 1 minute. If you haven't done so already, please take your seat.
It is with great pleasure and honor to introduce our distinguished guests for today's conference. Let me introduce them accordingly and invite them to the stage for a group photo.
As your name was called, please make your way to the stage.
Akao Keniji, President of the Asian Association of Environmental and Resource Economics.
Nianhua Dai, Senior Vice President, National Tsinghua University.
Zhenfu Chen, Senior Vice President for Administration, National Tsinghua University.
Minister Peng Qiming, Ministry of Environmental.
Meng Yucai, Director General of the Environmental Protection Department.
Secretary General Zhang Zhixiang, the Hsinchu City Government.
Yongshen Wu, Vice President for Academic Affairs, National Tsinghua University.
Office of Research and Development, National Tsinghua University.
Zhao Xi Huang, Dean for Taipei School of Economics and Political Science, National Tsinghua University.
Tsinghua College.
Office of Global Affairs, National Tsinghua University.
Dai Zhishao, Fellow of the Asian Association of Environmental and Resource Economics.
Professor Bill Deepu Risordamo from the Arn Koran Department of Economics and Australian National University and head of the Indonesia project.
Hu Jingli, AAERE 2024 Local of Committee Chair, Institute of Business and Management, National Yangming Jiaotong University.
Jen Fan, Professor for Institute of Law for Science and Technology, National Tsinghua University.
Ya Wen-Chei, Chair for Taiwan Association of Environmental and Resource Economics and Green Pine Community College.
Zhou Liang Liao, Director for Zhonghua Institution for Economic Research.
Guo Taizhen, Chair of the Department of Environmental and Cultural Resources, National Tsinghua University, Center for Environmental Education, National Tsinghua University.
Zhao Ning Liao, Professor for Department of Economics, National Tsinghua University.
Yuan Jie Zhang, Diane of Central for Continuing Education, National Tsinghua University.
Shu Jia Zhang, Director for Zichang Foundation of Science and Technology.
Wan Yu Liu, Professor of Zhongxing University.
Wei Xin Kong, Professor for National Yilan University.
Bing Yi Huang, Professor for Department of Economics, Chinese Culture University.
Yulan Chen, Professor for Institute of Natural Resource Management, National Taipei University.
Dr. Nenzhou Shan, Retech Environmental Solutions Cooperation Limited.
Dr. Wenhong Huang, Xingshen Sustainability Consulting Corporation Limited.
Yu Guohua Cultural and Educational Foundation.
PwC Taiwan.
College of Technology Management, National Tsinghua University.
Taiwan Power Company.
Sinopac Financial Holdings Corporation Limited.
Taiwan Institute of Economic Research.
Central News Agency.
Agriculture Engineering Research Center.
Taipei Computer Association.
Rongfu Cooperation Limited, Hsinchu Operations Office.
As your name was called, please make your way to the stage. We are now having a big picture. As your name was called, please make your way to the stage. We are honored to have you with us today. Let's give them a warm round of applause.
Let's give them a warm round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. Please back to your seat.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 13th Congress of the Asian Association of Environmental and Resource Economics.
We are now having a big picture. Have a photo. Please smile.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 13th Congress of the Asian Association of Environmental and Resource Economics. My name is Shang Tong.
My name is Wenqi Chen. We are honored to be your MCs for this event and hope you enjoy this year's conference.
First, it is my privilege to introduce Professor Akao Kaniji, a distinguished member of the Asian Association of Environmental and Resource Economics. Professor Akao is a highly respected economist from Waseda University, where he has made substantial contributions to environmental and resource economics. His work has been pivotal in exploring the relationship between economics and environmental sustainability. We are honored to have him representing AERE at this event.
Hello, friends, and welcome to 13th AAERE Congress. I'm proud that this year's Congress is being held at the prestigious and beautiful National Tsinghua University. I want to sincerely thank the local organizing committee for their dedicated efforts in making this event happen. I know they tackled several difficult tasks. Thank you very much. And this year's main focus is on regional cooperation and industrial transition. Both are certainly important for addressing the environmental challenges we face, especially climate change and biodiversity loss. Figuring on how to enhance these areas is a key agenda for all environmental economists. The Congress is a valuable opportunity to exchange research ideas. It's also a place to make friends who share the same concerns and interests. Personally, I've made many special friends at past congresses, and I cherish them dearly. I hope you also make special friends and I hope that the AAERE Congress becomes a place where you look forward to seeing friends year after year. This is my first visit to National Tsinghua University. I was amazed by its scale. In fact, it's so large, and I got lost on my way to the meeting venue yesterday. But a very kind student helped me find my way, taking time out of her day to assist me. Her kindness really touched me, and it made me feel that National Tsinghua University is truly wonderful because of students like her. We can all help each other, and that brings happiness. I hope the spirit of mutual assistance can extend to the regional level to help solve our environmental issues. During this Congress, I'm looking forward to hearing excellent presentations. Thank you very much for participation in this Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Akao, for your enlightening words. Please take your seat.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Weiyuan Gao, the president of National Tsinghua University. Dr. Gao has been a driving force in bringing sustainability into higher education. He's passionate about connecting academia with industry to create innovative environmental solutions. His work really shows his commitment to building a greener future. We're thrilled to have him here with us today to share his insight. Please direct your attention to the screen for the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AAERE Congress 2024 at National Tsinghua University in Taiwan. This year's theme is Cross-Regional Cooperation and Industrial Transition toward Net Zero Emission in Asia. Distinguished experts will provide insights on energy diversification, resources efficiency, carbon neutrality, and sustainable development. We hope these discussions will lead to many more collaborations and real solutions. NTHU is honored to receive the Taiwan Corporate Sustainability Award 3 years running. We are committed to sustainable development both on and off campus. The soon-to-be new College of Sustainability is one concrete action. Finally, a special thanks to our dedicated staff and volunteers for ensuring a successful conference. I hope everyone here will find the program informative and will also find like-minded partners to work together in building a sustainable and an equitable future. Thank you.
Thank you, President Gao, for your insightful remarks.
Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Nenghua Dai, Senior Vice President of National Tsinghua University. Professor Dai has been a leading figure in our academic community, driving innovation and excellence in both research and education. We are fortunate to have him here with us today.
AAERE Chairman Koya Song, Minister Peng from Ministry of Environment, Deputy Chairman Zhang from National Development Council, and Secretary General Zhang from Hsinchu City, 2024 Local Committee Chair of AAERE, Professor Hu. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of National Tsinghua University, I would like to extend my cordially welcome to all of you to attend AAERA Congress 2024, held at National Tsinghua University in Hsinchu. AAERA is one of the largest and most influential academic associations in the world. And its annual Congress provides a vital platform for discussion critical issues. The theme of this Congress 2024, cross-regional cooperation and industrial transition toward net zero emissions in Asia, is both timely and critical in addressing for present challenges facing our region. Throughout the Congress, we will explore a range of topics, including energy transition, resource use effectiveness, carbon neutrality, environmental, social, and governance, ESG consideration, education for sustainable development, ESD, and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. This discussion aims to illuminate the complexity of these issues and pave the way for solutions and innovative approaches. National Tsinghua University has made significant strides in promoting sustainable development and working toward net zero emissions. Our close cooperation with Taiwanese enterprise has played a critical role in these efforts, allowing us to leverage industry expertise and the resources to achieve our goals. We have been honored with the Taiwan Corporate Sustainability Award 3 consecutive times, as mentioned by our President Gao, earning the title of Sustainability Model University. Besides, we also have been honored with the gold medal from STARS, the first university in Asia to receive the medal gold. This recognition underscores our continued commitment to our responsibility toward the beautiful planet. We wish this Congress success, and everyone can enjoy the atmosphere of experience exchange and learning knowledge in cutting-edge technology from different points of view. Have a nice day in Taiwan and at National Tsinghua University. Thank you.
Thank you, Senior Vice President Dai, for your insightful remarks. Please take your seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker, Minister Peng Qiming. With a strong background in atmospheric sciences and a focus on sustainability, Minister Peng has been key in advancing Taiwan's climate policies and carbon reduction strategies. Please join me in welcoming Minister Peng Qiming.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, the Chairman and AAERE and former Chairman and Professor Xiao, and actually two Vice Presidents of the Tsinghua University, and also Hsinchu City Government Director General and the Bureau, and also our Director of the Ministry of Environment, Dr. Tsai, and also the Tsinghua University. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And it's my honor to be here, and because the first things I would like to thank you, the Tsinghua University, because when I was in the private sector, and we promote lots of the low carbon, especially the carbon reduction courses from the private sector and also the academia. It's a kind of PPP. And I'm also the student, so I got your degree about the Tsinghua University. So I'm maybe a part of the Tsinghua University student. And be honest, the Tsinghua University, lots of your professors is my think tank, especially when I was a minister. In less than about 100 days, you helped me a lot. Lots of your staff, especially we talk about the carbon things. And I come from the academia, and also I am an entrepreneur. And later on, I go to the government. And I just reached the 100 days. It's my first government job to be the minister. And actually, to be honest, it's a tough job, totally different. And however, I try to change something. The first things I want to change is in Taiwan, and I think it's also the same in the other country. Protecting the earth, protecting the environment, and also the economy development should be balanced. It's our law, and I changed it. When we develop the economy, however, the protecting the environment should be the first. And that's why we call green growth, green growth. The green growth strategy is our President Chinda's policy, green growth. If we want to grow, and we should be green. And such is kind of policy change some type of the Ministry of Environment. For example, last week, and we just celebrate the first year birthday of the Ministry of Environment. Before that is EPA, Environmental Protection Administration. And I make a slightly change to our staff. Before that, we are supervisor. Give you tickets. You show some order to do something. And now we change. Not only change, it's a plus another two factors. One is the integrator. Integrator means we should work with the other people, work with the entrepreneur, work with some young generation, innovation about the environmental issue and also green. This is integrator. And one is promoter. Promote something doing the environmental, promote something green, and also low carbon issue. So recently, I use such a kind of slogan to encourage our staff. We should change something. It's not easy. The government official keep the same step. It's always the safe way. And I try to tell everybody we should have some change about this. So recently, our Ministry of Environment worked with the other ministry. For example, we work with the Labor Ministry. We work with the Health Ministry. We work with also the Justice Ministry Lots of ministry work with the Ministry of Environment. We want to change something. For example, when we want to reach the net zero, the net zero is a very tough way, because if we want to use the traditional budget and also the traditional system, we cannot reach the net zero plan at all. It's just a dream. And recently we want to use another funding. For example, some funding to encourage the young generation if they set up the company, and we can have some encouragement. It's a kind of green growth fund. And also we want to try to use some kind of insurance funding to encourage the ESCO or something to trigger the environment. For example, Tsinghua University, actually university is also big polluters. You know, lots of the people, when we enjoy the air condition, the good environment, the energy, the power consumption is huge. And however, the funding from the university you own is limited. How can we, probably we can use another way, ESCO or something to change the way. And, but the electric fee is very limited, it's very low, and there's no interest for any kind of the investment. However, we can add some of the carbon, the value of the carbon, and something will be happen. So we want to try the different way, and that's why I say not only the supervisor, but also the integrator and also the promoter. And however, if we want to do integrator and promoter, the economy things is most important. And we want to educate the people. The carbon have some value. The environmental protection have some value. How to measure the value? I need your support. Especially the Professor Liu is my think tank, and he always provides me some idea, some data, some information. But not only the Professor Liu, I need some feedback from Japan. Just I know you have a climate bonds. Several months ago, Japan government issued a climate bond. You can borrow the money from the future because the carbon fee will be very expensive. Carbon price will be very expensive. You can borrow the money from the future to invest the young generation. So we want to try different ways. Japan, US, they have the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act. And such a kind of act is a kind of the tax reduction. And how to measure the economy value to the environment is our job. So I try to encourage my cabinet, my premier, my president. We should do it in different way. However, it's not an easy job. So probably in the future, all of you, I hope you in your conference can give us some different thinking about using the economy way to help the environmental protection, especially the net zero. So please, probably if you have any kind of a conclusion and also very clear strategy, let me know. And we are very welcome to use the new way. Because I know the traditional way, the traditional government budget is very limited. We cannot reach the net zero at all. And if we want to reach the dream, we should use different way. The different way is from the economy. The economy system can trigger everything. So that's why I want to say, to encourage all of you to have some kind of a new tool, new thinking in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Peng. Please take your seat. Next, we are honored to welcome Secretary General Zhang Zhishang from Hsinchu City Government. Her role as Director General of the Central Region Branch of the National Property Administration has given her a broad perspective on resource allocation and sustainable practice across Taiwan.
Dr. Akao, National Tsinghua University Vice President Dai, and the Vice President Jian, Ministry of Environment, Minister Peng, and distinguished guests, good morning. It's a pleasure to attend the Congress today, which covers a wide range of involving topics. This event will be helpful for everyone to learn about sustainable development and the actions to climate change. Sustainable development is the core value to global consensus and actions. To balance the development of economic, society, and environment, the United Nations proposes SDGs guidelines. The academic institutions have also integrated ESG and USR through refined courses, local courtesy, and international connection. The Congress will focus on cross-regional cooperation and net zero emissions. Hsinchu City is the high-tech city that accommodates many multinational corporations. National Tsinghua University is the best campus to foster talents and engine innovation. It's an ideal place to discuss how economic development and environmental sustainability coexist, and think about education catering to sustainability. Hsinchu City government takes sustainability seriously. There are 5 core values: hospitality, sustainability, creativity, intelligence, and partnership. Also, there are 10 strategies were launched as follows: good for the elderly and young people, good education environment in Hsinchu, industry innovation, transportation accessibility, youth vitality, intelligent governance, livability and sustainability, peace of mind in health, happiness and friendliness, and last, beauty of Hsinchu. Each policy corresponds to SDGs. In 2023, we established a designated office and commission for sustainability and climate change responses. It will craft our policy roadmap to net zero sustainability. To combat climate change challenges, the city has drafted a greenhouse gas reduction plan to take measures on actual circumstances. Based on the National Climate Change Adaptation Action Plan, Hsinchu City adjusts and develops policies accordingly by evaluating potential impacts. At the end of 2024, we will publish our 2015 Net Zero White Paper and Climate Change Adaptation Plan. The government cooperates with enterprises and citizens hand in hand to reduce carbon emissions. We have carried out solar PV systems installation on public buildings, low carbon public structures promotions, smart parking meters equipment, increasing charging ports for e-mobility, T-pass for mass transportation commuters, planted trees with corporate partners, plastic-free policies, and introduced less waste lifestyle to citizens. Sustainable development requires collective efforts. In 2023, Hsinchu City started the first ESG matchmaking platform in Taiwan, where corporations and governments can work on sustainability together. By understanding respective needs, government and private stakeholders can identify solutions to economic, social, and environmental issues together. The city implements policies. Corporations utilize professional resources and influences, and schools respond to social needs with academic studies for next generations. These collaborations elevated sustainable development capacities in the society and bring innovations into local efforts. Hsinchu City is always present in the journey of sustainable development. We are all committed to a better future. Throughout this Congress, you will witness what Hsinchu City has done. Thank you all very much, and I wish you all great health and success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zhang. Please have your seat.
Lastly, I'm honored to introduce Professor Junli Hu, Chair of the AAERE 2024 Local Organizing Committee. Professor Hu is a highly respected academic in National Yangming Jiaotong University, specializing in industrial economics and energy policy. His dedication to organizing this event reflects his commitment to fostering collaboration and dialogue in the field of environmental economics. We look forward to the valuable insights he will bring to this seminar.
AAERE President Professor Cao, and also the Vice President Dai of Tsinghua University, Vice President Jian of Tsinghua University, and also the Minister of Environment, also Dr. Pan, okay, and other honorable guests and friends. On behalf of the local organizing committee, I would like to thank the support, help, and encouragement from all of you. Especially, I would like to thank my alma mater, National Tsinghua University, for providing us not only the facilities, for example, this beautiful international conference room, as well as the necessary funds. We know that in order to organize a big Congress to accommodate all honorable participants from Asia, it needs a lot of money. And of course, we collect the registration fees, but the fees are not sufficient. But however, the National Tsinghua University kindly cover a huge proportion of the budget. And also, of course, we want to thank not only the Ministry of Environment, but also the help from the Ministry of Agriculture, and also the Hsinchu City Hall, and a lot of corporations to give us not only the funds, but also the necessary help. We know that AAERE is one of the largest environmental and resource economic associations in the world. And in order to facilitate not only the cooperative research, but the actions collectively, we are devoting ourselves to the, as just Mr. Pan mentioned, that we want to use economics and also economic research and also economic instruments to help the human beings sustainably develop the society, the environment, and the economy. Okay, so let me welcome all of the honorable participants from all over Asia, and I wish you enjoy the Congress, and also don't forget to visit this lovely city, Hsinchu City, during your stay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hu, for sharing your insights. Please remain on stage. Honorable professors and participants, please have a commemorative signature at the registration center in your break time.
Now, we are delighted to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Hu, Chair of the AAERE 2024 Local Organizing Committee. Professor Hu, please.
Honorable participants, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce two keynote speakers today. The first one will be Professor Budi Rezazudamo from Australian National University. And Professor Rezazudamo was the president of the AAERE, and he has been devoting himself to not only the research and education, but also the cross-regional cooperation toward environmental protection and sustainable development. And our second honorable speaker will be Professor Deiji Shou I personally would like to thank Professor Daiji Shou because he is also my teacher for environmental economics. Professor Daiji Shou was also the president of EAERE, the East Asian Association, which is the previous name for the AAERE. And he is honorably the fellow, actually the first fellow of AAERE. So his contribution includes not only the economic research, but also the environmental policy design and also the implementation. Okay, our speakers and our colleagues. So let's welcome the first speaker, Professor Budi Resasudamo. Okay, Professor Resasudamo, please.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to this conference. And I would like to thank Professor Hu for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to talk. So my talk will be related to this cross-region cooperation and the goal to achieve net zero emission. So can you show my slide in the screen? Slide on the screen. Yeah. Next, my slide. My presentation slide, can it be put on the screen? PowerPoint, can my PowerPoint put on the screen? Yeah, that is a screen, but people cannot see my presentation. On this big screen, my PPT. Okay, all right, next. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what I'm going to talk is this region, yeah, the East Asia region is cover the traditional East Asia, Korea, China, Taiwan, and Japan, but also Southeast Asia, South Asia, and part of the Oceanic, which is Australia, New Zealand. But numbers that I'm going to present cover only some of the bigger ones, so it's just to make it easy in such that what I'm going to present is relatively an underestimate. Next. So if you look at this number, this region, thank you. This region, in terms of population, has been the most populous region. Almost 50% of the people in this world live in that region, yeah, from China, South Asia, and Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia, till Australia, cover almost 50%. And the active people that working, which is on the working age, which is typically between 15 to 65, are in this region. Yeah? So close to 50% of working age population globally is in this region. And if you look at our contribution to the global GDP, increasing 5% every 10 years. So, for example, in 2020, we already reached close to 35%. In 2040, we reach above 40%. What does that mean is that the center economic activity globally will be in this region. It is shift gradually from North America to this region. So our region is becoming the center of global economy not that long. You know, some of you that is relatively young will actually enjoy those things. So yeah, we are living in the right place. So no need to think about moving to other place. Next. And yes, it is true that this region is about China. That is quite true. However, other regions are also important. Yes, about 1.4 billion people currently are in China, but India also got 1.4 billion people, covering 60% of the global population. But also Southeast Asia is important in terms of population. 8% of people in the world living in Southeast Asia. And if we look at the economy, yes, Chinese economy is big, but Japan, Southeast Asia as a whole, because Southeast Asia relatively very connected through the Asian corporation, it's also significant. India is also 3.4 trillion US dollar. So yes, it is about China, but other area in that zone, the East Asia region, are important, and they are connected. Yeah. The annual growth are different, yeah. But yes, China is still growing very fast, but other region, yeah, particularly the developing region, Southeast Asia and India, grows about 5%, which is not many countries and not many regions in the world growing that fast. So when we look at the growth, you could see that, yes, China and Vietnam are, growing the fastest in the last 20 years. But Indonesia, India, and Philippines, they are also growing very fast. Yeah? And Thailand and Australia. And if we compare to other regions, well, except Japan right now is very slow. If we compare to other regions, like choose Netherlands as an example of the European country, or the Latin America country, I choose Mexico, they are much lower. So you can see that this, the region economy could dominate the global economy. Yeah? Although that is some worry whether all countries in the region are going to converge, so that is one issue. Whether some of them are actually trapped in the middle income. But I don't think any country in that region will be keep at a low level economy. Everybody will graduate it to middle income, but there is a question whether all will become an advanced country. So maintaining sustainable economic growth in this region is crucial, and one important issue is that although this region by market becoming more connected, but stronger economic connection in the region is important. So this region will become the most important region in the world, but still it is important to keep pushing interconnection in this region. However, when we look at the carbon emission contribution of this region right now 2020, already the biggest contributor of carbon emission globally. Yeah. Carbon emission increased from 1990 to 2020, doubling. Yeah. So although all countries in this region has made an NDC commitment as well as net zero commission, committed to net zero emission, some in 2045, like Cambodia, some of the small one, and China is 2050, Indonesia is 2060, and India is 2070. But there is still a big question whether these countries could actually fulfill that commission. So it is true that this region will be the dominant economy globally, but we also carry this burden that we are actually the highest emitter in the world. So that is this issue, balancing keep pushing the economic development, but able to reduce the global emission. And we know that, looking at this graph, that the main one is due to energy and electricity, a main source of carbon emission. So it is really, the issue is how can we produce enough electricity to support our economic growth while we keep reducing emission that we emit. So that is the main issue that we face. And we look at each country that producing emission. You could see that the three biggest, among the top 10 biggest emitter in the world, there are three in this region: China, India, and Indonesia. So for forest and other land use, Indonesia and India certainly need to do something. But the biggest one comes from the energy and electricity sector. And a lot of countries in this East Asia region actually contributed in this energy sector. So decarbonization to energy transition and electric integration might be essential. So how we could actually integrate this electricity transition so that could help reduce our carbon emission significantly. So one suggestion that I'm going to talk about is creating an open regionalism in energy. So that, in what I'm going to argue in this presentation, that could help us to keep growing, and at the same time, we are able to reduce our emission through an open regionalism in energy. And what is it? And particularly is focused on open regionalism in electricity. And what is it? So in the economy, this region, the East Asia region, has been quite common having open regionalism. This is an association for economic cooperation. In looking from my place in ASEAN, ASEAN got a lot of commitment on this economic regionalism. And it is actually, we used to deal with this economic regionalism. More than 20 economic regionalism has been set up in which ASEAN participates. So in the economy, it is already quite useful, we used to now, but whether that we could develop in the energy and particularly in the electric sector is something that we need to keep looking. So open region, so you could see that electricity sector is the main one because they are actually doubling the emission the same time as the total emission actually increased. So electricity is the main one that creating those emissions. East Asia contribution in renewable as a total renewable energy is quite significant. Yeah, already 40% of global renewable energy are in East Asia region. However, whether it is sufficient to accelerate reduction of emission from this region is not that sure, and whether we could actually maximizing all the potential renewable resources to decarbonize is an important thing that we need to think. So the idea of open regionalism on energy is particularly for this region is about creating an electricity infrastructure connecting transmission throughout each country, and then from each country is connected to all countries in the region. So it is an open regionalism on electricity, yeah. How to openly integrate the electricity system in this region. So that will possibly happen because of the following. One is that this Chinese ambition to develop Asia supergrid. So this is the thinking about building 36 kilometers of transmission. And some of them are DC transmission. For a long range, they use DC. And China has been successful in developing DC transition throughout Gobi Desert. Australia has the ambition to supply Singapore because Singapore has the ambition to be the data center for Southeast Asia, and they need energy. And Australia thinking to send renewable energy to Singapore. Australia got abundant of renewable because it is a desert with no open sky, and so solar and wind are perfect in many places in Australia. So sending it to Asia is something that Australia envisioned. Australia price for wind and solar is already between 4 to 6 cents per kilowatt hour, one of the cheapest in the world. So, and that line that Australia should go to Indonesia, in which Indonesia is also planning to develop a supergrid. So you can see that several of this country and this region are already planning to develop supergrid. So developing an open regionalism in electricity is not something that not possible. Yeah. It's something that is possible, and most likely it is happening. And so what is it, the network that we envision? Yeah. The network will go through connecting Australia, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and then East Asia up to China, as well as to India. Now, the line that goes through Indonesia, through Taiwan, Japan, and go to the north is important because that will be the highway of electricity transmission. It is the sea. It is much easier than going through land because you don't have to deal with people. One of the issue is land property right. But on the sea, it can go very far and fast. You could transmit electricity, DC electricity through fast. So the highway of this electricity transition will go from Japan going to Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia, and Australia. That is the highway of transmission. So Taiwan will definitely play an important role if this is happening. Yeah. So this is good because for renewable, non-renewable, you could bring the resources to the place where you would like to generate. So coal, you could ship the coal. But for renewable, like solar and wind, you have to build the power generation at the place. So what you need is to transfer when it is already in electricity. So supergrid, it is a must to be able to maximize the development of renewable in this region. Yeah. And the second issue is that supergrid will help electricity stability, because if any region need electricity, you could just transfer it. Yeah. And what is also important is that this supergrid will develop a new economy. You don't ship coal, gas anymore. What you transfer will be electricity. Yeah? Because transmission of electricity is much cheaper rather than you shipping a coal. So there will be a new trade in the region in which electricity will be one of the commodity that is important. And also this system will change industrial allocation. You know, those who are actually taking too much space when shipping, it is much easier just ship the energy and develop the factory at the place of the demand. So having this supergrid in which the institution is an open regionalism in electricity will change significantly the trade pattern in this region. Yeah. Next. So now, if this is happening, we could also impose a strategy to faster the reduction of emission by one is universally impose carbon price. You know, if carbon price is imposed at only one country, that country feel, well, the other country do not impose carbon tax, and so they got benefit and we have to pay the burden. But if it is regionally, everybody is actually facing the same game. Yeah. So then it is most could be happening. In terms of tax on coal, if Australia put tax on its coal, it's feel that, well, then our market will be taken by Indonesia because Indonesia is the other biggest exported coal. But if Indonesia and Australia impose coal tax, then it is okay. So the second is that we could actually support a green, clean, heavy industry development. Yeah, because heavy industry is one of the biggest contribution of emission. So there are possibility to imposing challenging energy policy, such as reduction or elimination of subsidy. You know, very difficult in particular country, but if it is imposed at a regional, then that country has to obey. So the third possibility that we implement, besides we were going to maximize the use of renewable with the grid, is that an agreement to eliminate all subsidy in this region. So there is the additional benefit if an open regionalism on electricity could be developed. Now, but there are several issues on developing this. The biggest one is not technology. With the current technology right now, we could develop those supergrid. With the current financial situation globally that we have, we could develop. But what kind of institution that will govern that supergrid is challenging. Yeah. Particularly, all country has this energy sovereignty. We would like to have sovereignty on our energy resources. That is one issue. The second issue is that there is a tendency that every country would like to behave as a monopoly. Yeah. When this is happening, then although we are connected, but we are not optimal in utilizing our connection. So institution is one issue. What kind of institution that will be fit to govern the supergrid throughout this East Asia region is important. Research needed for that. And our conference is actually talking about this corporation, and that is actually the core. Not the technology, the core is the institution. The second aspect is on the economy. Yeah. Whether this integration actually push growth. Yes, it will push growth for the region, the whole region, but whether all countries could benefit it, that is a question. The social aspect Yeah, this is whether actually for the less developed country it actually will promote poverty alleviation. If it's not, then it is an issue. And finally, we need to also keep track on how effective this super grid in terms of mitigation carbon. So literature on this is relatively limited. Yeah, so that's why there's a lot of room for us to work on it. So that's good that we start our book series. Thank you for Professor Suche, Professor Ken that has been initiating this book series in our association and has been focused on energy transition. And so then it allow us to bounce ideas. So our association is sit in the right space where the global economy will be centered. Yeah. And not that our association should develop the institution, no, but our association should bounce ideas, how we could develop the institution, how we could monitor the economic growth in each region if this is happening, how we could actually look at the social aspect, and also monitor the effectiveness of climate change or emission reduction. On the carbon tax and on looking at income distribution, relatively available. Next is that I would like to show some lesson that I try to work on this issue in which I developed a multimodal, integration of multimodal. And what I developed is very small one. An intensive one need to be more developed, so you guys has the opportunity to develop a more complicated. But what we need is three type of model that integrated. One is the macro model that could look at the growth at GDP level, at the macro level. We need a model that could see the distribution of income, the micro level, and also the carbon level. And in the world, there has been several models that exist. So for example, in the carbon model, there is this EIM model, GCAM, Markle, Times, and in micro, there is several simulation that based on social accounting metrics or CGE, and at the macro, there has been a CGE model. So in a simple form, I developed this model and connected them, integrated. There are several papers that I've been producing, and some of the lesson learned is as follow, in which more research need to be conducted. So regional integration in general would enhance electricity security for the surrounding region. However, for some region or some country, this could also, but this could also mean a reduction in the growth of carbon emission, that is true, but likely not decreasing the total emission. So what happens if you just have this integration, there is a shift within country in terms of the emission. Yeah. Because of the trade of electricity, some country that used to have to be producing, which is quite bad, and then they just cheaper buying, but that actually increase the emission in the other countries. So in terms of security, yes, it is good, but in terms of total, it's not guaranteed. Yeah. The second issue is that there is a possibility that this integration actually reduce the growth of some country, particularly because if they just imported electricity, they don't develop their electric sector, there is no multiplier effect from the electricity generation. So that problem need to be handled. So when we develop this institution, what kind of rule, what kind of compensation system that we need to develop so everybody feel that this system is actually good for everyone. And if we impose carbon tax in the system, so I'm quite favor with carbon tax rather than carbon trading, and when it is involving a lot of countries, in my opinion, carbon trading sometimes creates suspicion, while carbon tax is much more transparent and everybody can see. When we do that, yes, that system actually effective in terms of reducing carbon emission in the region. However, it is likely to have a negative effect in growth, at least in the short run till medium. Now, compensating the energy need by using the carbon tax for developing a renewable electricity, it reduces growth emission further. Yeah? So you have been reducing through carbon, you actually further reduce because you encourage the development of renewable. However, my simulation also show that some country, there is a possibility to have a rebound effect, particularly when the renewable energy is developed in the less developed economy. Why it is so? Because the majority of the economy is still on agricultural sector, in which the increasing income of the people due to their income from renewable, they use it for agricultural product, and so that actually could induce a higher emission. So that is something that need to be careful. For advanced country, there's no problem because the main economy is not on the agriculture sector, but for Indonesia, India, it could be leading to a rebound effect, more emission. Combining development and renewable power plant with the implementation of carbon tax still probably one of the best way to keep reducing the emission when we have this integration of electricity. And so remember that some of the countries are still less developed, so recycling some of the carbon tax, not only for renewable, but also for supporting poor households are probably something that we need to look at. So all this strategy need to be conducted, and you could do that if you have the right institution. And so in my mind is that, yes, on the economic side, we could do all this simulation, but the key factor is whether we could actually develop the right institution to govern the electricity integration in our region. That is my presentation. Hopefully I can still provide some time for discussion. Thank you.
Okay, Professor Budi, you just mentioned an interesting question. You say that you plan to have three kinds of model, but the first two are very important. One is so-called the macro model, and secondly is the micro model. But we know that in economics, it is often seen that the optimal policy from the micro viewpoints may not be the optimal policy from the macro viewpoint. For example, from the macro viewpoint, we need to take into account other effects such as employment or trade or other outputs. But from the micro model, maybe, for example, for the automobile industry, then we simply take into account the demand and supply of automobiles. So my question is that how can we compromise the inconsistency of the micro and macro models? And that also applies to a single country model and also the multiple country model.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So in terms of being able to observe this effect using this multiple model, it is very challenging. And Professor Hu has been mentioning there are multiple goals. We have multiple goals, and so it is not easy. That is correct. And there is another thing is that when we connect it, is that if you're just going, so for example, you're going upward or downward, so from macro to micro, you don't really have a loop to go back to macro, in which that's actually an issue. So there are several techniques to do that. One is that you actually not only connecting those model, but you integrate. So I give you an example how to integrate. In country level, it is still possible, but in regional level, it is so difficult. So in country level, when you would like to make sure that the effect in macro and the effect in micro are consistent and achieving what you want, is that in the macro model, you have like 200 households. Yeah, so your model is not only 1 or 3 households in the macro model, but you got like 200 households. And that is okay, yeah, in a country level. But in this regional level, this is very tough because, for example, you have 200 for each country. There are about 15 countries, so you quickly got more than 1,000 households, and whether your program can convert is an issue. So there is an issue. Now, in terms of having a policy consistency, you need to keep trying. Use this scenario, use that scenario. At the end of the day, you need to balance it. Okay, this is probably the optimal. It's not the best for macro, it's not the best for micro, and that's it. Yeah. And so that's why in terms of implementation, again, it is going back to setting up an institution. Whether we could actually setting up an institution in which those not optimal for macro, but not optimal as well for micro, but that is the right balance. Yeah. And also for one country, this is the right optimal. For the other country, this is the right balance. And whether we could actually implement it together, that is the biggest task. And many of these trade corporations are problematic because of that. Because you cannot get the right balance between country, you cannot get the right balance within country. But more talk, more discussion, hopefully we could come up with something that relatively equal, or there is some equity aspect in that setup. So what kind of institution that could develop, deploy that, it is a big research. Yeah. WTO, for example, right now is not that working very well. Because of that, some countries think that rule is fair for the other, that rule is not fair for us, and so on and so on. And there is also a tendency to monopolize an economy. And for example, natural resources, many countries trying to say, I'm not going to export my mineral, I just want to develop the mineral within my country. So those attitude is always there. And this, in the electricity, there will be like that. When you would like to send electricity to my country, I will charge this high. And so that is an issue. So, yeah, and I mentioned there is a big challenge. More research are needed. But my guess in terms of business, the business people will see this as a profitable business. So I, for example, no doubt that the connection between Australia and Singapore will be happening in the next 30 years. So for me, and also the Southeast Asia, China, that is already connected. But whether we were connected with the right strategy in which we'll be maximizing everybody as well as the whole region, or we will be connected, but the system are messy. Yeah, a lot of rent, a lot of suboptimal. That is for me is the question. But I have no doubt that in the next 30 years that our region will be connected in for electricity. Anything else?
Yeah, Dong Sun from Dong University, Busan in Korea. Thank you so much and congratulate an excellent presentation, keynote presentation today. Kind of comments probably. You already answered and you already pointed out that some of possible problem and barriers when we try to connect in a very grand way like super grid. I completely support that. But one problem is, the first one is each country has their own plan and preference structure of energy transition. Some countries probably prefer carbon-free energy, like including nuclear, but the other country maybe just hate them. So that is slightly beyond some kind of economic, negotiation or decision making in there. So how can we harmonize those kind of policy discrepancy or policy preference discrepancies? That one is first one. Maybe political. The other one is the tax system. We are talking about CABM and a lot of the cross-border taxation on energy or environmental or something like that. The other one is domestically, we have very different structure of energy tax system. Some countries just prefer for increasing the revenue, tax revenue. The other country is using the tax system, make it the society, economic society more environmentally friendly. So we did have some kind of experiences, but always is very hard tackles we have to overcome. So, I'm just a simple worry. So, yeah, I want to share your idea when you're trying to set up models and try to get the result. But maybe we have to think about some kind of, those issues in mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee. That's excellent. Those are excellent questions. So on the tax system, something that we could learn is, well, not the problem that WTO have, but some of the success that WTO has been achieving, which is lowering the import tax throughout the global world. Yeah. So basically what they do is that, yes, in each country, the tax system, the import tax system has been very different. Yeah? But the effective tax is the one that they looking at. So you could have different tax system, but the effective tax is what is the rate of that. So we need to also trying to looking at each country and finding ways to know what kind of the tax system that has been implemented in the energy sector. And we need to find a general strategy. And one thing that's important is that, which is quite difficult, is that we don't want to do a multiple tax. So for example, what I'm suggesting is actually the tax at the source. At the source, meaning when you start mining the mineral, that is the tax. Other than that, they don't receive any more tax. So the tax is just one-time tax, and it is the source. So it is clear what is being taxed, which is the use of mineral that are actually creating emission. Yeah. So that much simpler than all this kind of tax. And all this kind of tax should be reduced, So that is the strategy. And because the tax is on the source, then it will make the use of that mineral becoming more expensive. So everybody trying to avoid using that. So that is the tax system. Now, the more complicated is a lot of countries already have their own energy strategy, in which it will be difficult. They already invest money on certain things, and then certain that. Well, they say when this is connected, I cannot use those electricity, and so they're not keen to be connected. So this is why, in my opinion, if this is going to happen, it should happen soon. So if we would like to start negotiate soon, before the strategy of each country getting worse. So many countries, their expectation is 2050, and some of the investment probably already start right now, but a lot of them are not yet start. So creating a media for discussion on this is important. And flexibility on strategy, yes, it could not happening immediately, but what we hope is that in the next 30 to 50 years, we will be synchronized. So that is the one. And it is not bad, because remember that this region is growing, occupy 5% more of global world. So our economy is growing very fast, comparing to the rest of the world, in which the need of energy is actually quite big. And so there should be room between the national strategy and what is exactly we were going to need in the next 50 years. So there must be a room. Now, what kind of negotiation media that we are going to use? That is one question, whether we are going to use some of the economic corporation that have been exist. This is probably what is it, I don't know, APEC or others, or we are going to create a new one. So that is, I don't know, I cannot answer that. From the ASEAN, the 11 countries in Southeast Asia, this idea is actually already embedded for Southeast Asian, because we know we need to connect it to the north, and also become a media between the north and Australia. And so the ASEAN has the idea of ASEAN plus on energy. So ASEAN set up some negotiation within it, and then plus one by one. Now, whether that is fast enough to actually able to incorporate the whole East Asia is a question. But in East Asia, there might be some strategy as well. So, yeah, this idea is not without problem. It has a problem. But my guess is that if we're not trying to talk about it, we are going to be connected for sure, because the business is there. But we are connected with suboptimal, as I mentioned. So that is, technology-wise, no problem. Material-wise, that could be an issue, but a lot of scrap metal could be gathered around the world, which is we already use metal for a long time. Some of them are not being used effectively. Scrap metal is probably we could develop to build the transmission. So yeah, business point of view is seem to be profitable.
Yeah, I think you also mentioned a very important question about harmonization of the carbon price. And Taiwan now is the only case in the world which will impose the carbon fees instead of the carbon taxes. But there are two questions. The first one is maybe can be added by Professor Deiji Shou, is that whether or not carbon fees are better than carbon taxes. But the second is undergoing is that how much should be the carbon fee rate. So now in Taiwan, we had a research project done by London School of Economics, which suggests it's not so high, it's $10 per ton, yeah. But some people think that it's too high because from $0 to $10 per ton is a lot. But some, especially for the environmental protection groups, they think that $10 per ton is too low because if you look at carbon emission permission price, maybe it can be as high as $100 per ton sometimes. So there's a dispute. So I'm wondering, would you like to suggest something, for example, for Taiwan, how to find a reference point for the carbon fee? And also, if Taiwan imposed that, especially Taiwan is aiming to deal with, for example, CBAM by EU and also the Clean Competition Act by the USA. Okay, so, but somehow our neighboring countries may not impose such effective carbon prices. So what would happen?
Yeah. So Daiji might give some other suggestion, but the most important aspect on this carbon is actually everybody doing it at the same time. So that is important to be able to success to achieve the optimal level of carbon. And at the moment, there isn't really institution that actually govern that a big region actually move at the same time. So Taiwan do not have much incentive to increase even a bit more than $10. Yeah, $10 in European carbon tax is quite low. Because of what? Because the other region do not do that. Yeah. So setting up this open regionalism. So why it is open? Because if any country would like to join, they could. Yeah, this is, and we're going to have a regionalism not to discriminate others. So others will not discriminate, but we just collaborate, synchronize policy within us. And the success of those kind of system, particularly carbon tax, if everybody actually doing the same time. So that is actually one other important thing why we would like to develop this electricity regionalism. Now, in terms of how high the carbon tax is, in the short run, there's no clear strategy in my opinion. But our region will have to still connect it to the rest of the region, to Europe, to North America. We still have, although we already by 2045, around 2045, already about a bit more than 40% of the global economy, which is trade within us is most important than trade with others, because many of us will be connected a lot. Vietnam, for example, the biggest trade with China. Australia, even like the biggest export is with China. A lot of this region are very well connected, but we still need to connect it with the rest. So in a way, we will be drift, or we will be pulled to what the other region agree. So my guess is that although but there are one requirement that everybody in the region doing the same. Yeah? If it's not doing the same, it's not going to happen. But if everybody doing the same thing, which is like carbon tax, I think gradually we will achieve whatever European standard will be. So because we just want to send our product to Europe. And if you do not put carbon tax within our region, you will be taxed over there. So it is just better to put it over here. The tax at least actually could be recycled within the region and then send the product, and there is no border tax for us. So that probably what we're going to do, because yeah, it's just much more beneficial for us to get the tax within our region, circulate it, increasing our economy, rather than allowing the European or North American tax our product. Yeah, but again, doing it together, in my opinion, is important. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions from the floor? Okay, if not, let's please applaud Professor Lee. Okay, so let's invite the next honorable speaker for the keynote speech, which is Professor Daiji Shou. Okay, Professor Daiji Shou, please.
Yeah, this is my, no, this is the second page. Okay, that's the first page. Yeah, my dear colleagues, it is my great honor to be invited by the organizing committee and the chairman of our association to give this talk in this conference, annual congress. My topic is about the negative carbon economy. What's the institutions and the policy instruments needed to meet this very important and a very tough job, Budi just mentioned that institution is very important. Without a good institution, even though all of our colleagues have studied and a lot of different kind of, or have evaluated many different kind of policy instruments or economic incentive instruments, without a good institution, all of them will not be implemented. So I like to propose institutions and the policy instruments needed for the negative carbon economy. What's the next? Okay, this is the next. Okay. Okay, this is the contents. I will skip this one, this page, because I have prepared many pages. So I'm afraid I may not have enough time. Okay, let me see. Now it's 10:38. Okay, I have about 1 hour. Okay, first, our Earth is, let me see, I need to get, okay. From this study, this is the latest study of planetary boundary in a series of planetary boundaries. In this one, the title is that I cannot see the lighter. Okay. Give me a pointer. No pointer. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the title is that the Earth is beyond 6 of 9 planetary boundaries. And one of it is climate change. And actually, that's not the most serious one or risky one. We have others such as biodiversity or nitrogen and phosphorus. All of them are more risky status. And however, all of us seems a lot of a lot of people in the environmental protection field focus our attention on climate change. Okay, so let's talk about climate change only. But at the same time, we should not forget there are many other areas or other planetary boundaries are in danger. So that's also our inputs. Okay, I will skip this one. That just show us why climate change is没有东西，没有电脑。Okay, let me see. Okay, let me go. Yeah, so why is the boundary of climate change in red? Okay, in the last two slides. That's because climate change will become irreversible, and then become an extreme climate risk to the survival of human civilization. That's the most important. That's why it's so important. That's a matter of matter of the survival of human civilization. Okay. Why has climate change become an irreversible climate crisis? That's because we need to know that there are several tipping points, tipping elements in the Earth system. Those are the 15 tipping elements proposed in the IPCC assessment report and the 6th assessment report. Those are the tipping points, 15 tipping points. And here, IPCC say that 3 of them are not so in danger. So that's the 12 tipping points, tipping elements that potentially change climate abruptly. One of them, let me see, that's the permafrost carbon, and another one is AMOC. That's that's what we have seen from the movie Day After Tomorrow. That's a very serious one. Okay, tipping points. Because let me see. Okay. Because for example, let's just mention this to think about this boreal permafrost abrupt thaw. It is because of the global warming, so boreal frost land thaw, and then it will emit more methane into the air. Then that's a very strong greenhouse gas, and so it will trigger a higher temperature in the air and the sea, and then then we will see that's a positive climate feedback loops. Positive climate feedback loop. Then, if we enter this positive feedback loop, then the climate change will become irreversible. Irreversible. That means doesn't matter how we work so hard to reduce emissions or to remove greenhouse gases from in the air, it would not help to change, to stop the climate change. It's impossible. That's become irreversible. Irreversible. So that's why we have this tipping point. That's global warming of 1.5 degrees C becomes the tipping points. That means we should keep the global temperature, average temperature, back to 1.5 degrees C by 2100. Okay. So let's sum up. Climate change becomes an irreversible climate crisis, and we need. That's because there's a tipping point here. That's 1.5 degrees C. So what's required to not overshoot the tipping points and to save human civilization? That's the path of net emissions. That's we need to reduce net emissions to net zero by 2050 and negative after 2050. We have this conclusion from this 2018 IPCC report. That's global warming of 1.5 degrees C. I will not go into detail of these scenarios and the modeling result. But anyway, we got the conclusion. We need to follow this path of this. If we cannot have. No pointer. Oh yeah, no pointer. That's the pointer. So I should point to that screen. Okay. Okay. High tech. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's it. So we should keep this scenario in mind. This is the scenario tell us that now we should drop our net emissions. It's not clear. Sometimes it does. Okay. You see this one? That's the green line. Is the net emission, the path of net emissions. So it should drop very abruptly up to zero by 2050, and then also very strong negative emissions, net negative emissions after 2050. Otherwise, we cannot avoid the positive climate feedback loop. And this is the next figure next to the last one. From this one, we should know we know that. Okay, let me see. High tech is not useful. Okay. So we should compare the last two. That's a scenario. Let me go over here. Scenario S5 and the LED. This is the most sustainable scenario, and this is the most carbon intensive scenario. And this figure shows that the the column is the cumulative CO2 emissions over the period of 2018 to 2100. So we can see that for this scenario, this is the most likely scenario, most likely for us. Okay, that means we accumulatedly we will emit so much, so many carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases into the air, and but in this one, that's about half of of S5, and for this scenario, we need to reduce or to remove all those emissions up to this point. But for this one, we need only to reduce or remove. That's a quite smaller amount. So that means 1 unit of emission is not equal to 1 unit of removal. Because we emit, then it will stay in the air for quite a long time, and then we remove. So we cannot say 1 unit of remove equal to 1 unit of emission. So for this one means we emit so many that we need to remove much more than the emissions in this scenario. Okay, that's the message we like. Okay, thank you. Okay, there are two important concepts here to reach this conclusion. That's the first one is the okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can you see? Yeah, the red dot. Okay, two concepts. One is remaining carbon budget. The other one is carbon date. Remaining carbon budget is the estimated cumulative net global CO2 emissions from a given starting date to the time that CO2 emissions reach net zero. That would result in a limiting global warming to a given level. That's 1.5 degrees C. So that's the remaining. And how much is it? It is AR6 gives an estimate of the remaining carbon budget of 400 to 500 gigaton CO2e. And so that means the associated remaining carbon budget is being depleted by the current emissions of 42 gigaton per year. That means the remaining carbon budget will probably be exhausted within this decade. So this remaining carbon from the point of view of the resource economics, remaining carbon budget is just like a depletable resource, After the remaining carbon budget is depleted, then the emissions becomes the carbon date that past and the present generation owe future generations. The carbon date generated thereafter must be repaid using costly carbon dioxide removal methods, CDR. So to be responsible ancestors, we must leave an asset to our future generations that is enough to pay back the carbon date. This is the very important message, very important lessons we learn from this part of the literature. So there's an urgent need for actions to pay back carbon date. And that's what we should keep in mind when we study the policy for a net negative economy. So we should follow the path to 2050 net zero and the negative after 2050. Then we need to, what we should do, we should reduce greenhouse gas emissions as much as possible first. And then carbon date will need to be paid back by a CDR, carbon removal, carbon dioxide removal methods using negative emission, net negative emission technologies. And then we also need to leave an asset enough to our future generations to purchase CDR to pay back the carbon date. This is the sum of my previous presentation. Next, how to meet this very tough job. So we need to have institutions. We need to find a new institution because we know the present institution is failed. The present institution is failed. So we need to study what's the new institution needed. And then we also like to know what's the policy instruments, especially the economic incentive instruments we can use to, for the net negative economy. And before we study the new institution, we'd like to know why the current institution are failed. There's a consensus that the Paris climate agreements might be doomed to fail following the steps of the UNFCCC and the Kyoto Protocol. You see, Paris Agreement was signed, was reached in 2015, almost 10 years after. We are still waiting. We are still waiting for those implementation regulations to be approved by any or in a COP meeting. So up to now, it's still there, still talking, discussion annually and without any conclusion up to now. Why is that? Why is that? That's because these market failures we all are familiar with. That's externalities, public goods, and the common property resources. Because just like Bodhi just has said that not every man, every person, or every country like to be a free rider of others' efforts to mitigate climate change, because the result of mitigation is a public good. Everyone like to be free riders. So the collective outcome of this free market failure is a prisoner dilemma. Prisoner dilemma. Most people and the countries would rather be free riders, have an incentive to defect and behave non-cooperatively. And in the end, all enjoy the worst outcome collectively. That's the loss of human civilization. There are other causes of this failure. I just put it here. This is about the governance or institutional inertia. Here I like to emphasize one, that's the agent for future generation does not exist presently. So no representatives of future generations speak for them in the present decision-making process, which will specifically impact the future. They are the future generations will bear the impacts, but they are not here to say their words, any words. So that's one of the cause of this problem. And others, such as human perception biases, I will just put it here, but we're not just put it here. Okay, so what's the new institutions? I think we should listen to Professor Ostrom. We know Professor Ostrom was awarded the Nobel Prize Economics Award in 2009, okay. Because for her analysis of economic governance, especially the commons. And we know the climate or the remaining carbon budget is a common for all present of this generation and the future generations. And so that's the cause of the problem. And also Ostrom summarized 8 design principles that were present in the sustainable common pool resource institutions she studied, where there's no tragedy of commons. And so the remaining part, the remaining carbon budget is a common property resource owned by all, present and future. It results quickly in the tragedy of the commons. So Ostrom wrote a paper. Title is Polycentric Approach, and in 2009, the year she earned the Nobel Prize. That's because that's the result of the request from IPCC. She said we should she cautioned against single government units at a global level to solve the collective action problem of coordinating work against environmental destruction. She preferred a polycentric approach to coping with climate change, which is the last principle, design principle of her 8 principles. She said, efforts to reduce global greenhouse gas emission are a classical collective action problem best addressed by multiple scales and levels, just like this diagram shows. There's multiple levels and multiple scales. A polycentric approach has the main advantage of encouraging experimental effort at multiple levels. Okay, one good example of the polycentric approach is Climate Club. And what's Climate Club? In a climate club, such as European Union is a good example of climate club. Has a common climate change mitigation policies, including carbon pricing at a common price. In EU, that's EU ETS. And in addition to that, they need to have penalties. For example, such as it is to be a CBAM, that's the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, EU is going to implement. Actually, it's already has been implemented since last year. The other one is penalty stop. Norhaus has done this a very famous study of climate club, and in that paper, he preferred penalty using tariff to as the penalty. He does not like CBAM because he says CBAM is complicated and ineffective. However, for tariff, there is a risk of violating critical principle of the WTO. That's a non-discrimination because it will be seen as trade against the free trade. Okay, so they are actually, the idea of climate car has been proposed by Barrett in 2003 and Victor. Both of them are environmental economics and environmental political scientists. They propose this, and then, but not many people notice these papers or books. And so until Norhaus presented the result of a climate change study in his 2015 presidential address to the AEA and summarized in his Nobel Prize lecture in 2015. Then research on the effectiveness of climate change has been booming. Many papers, over 1,000, including 2 of our papers. So that's I think the climate club is a candidate, is a good candidate of the institutions for our work to reduce our emissions in the path to 2050 and net zero and net negative after that. In our paper, we propose those common policies, including a uniform carbon tax price with a revenue-neutral recycling, and a CBAM, and a commitment to fully phase out fossil fuel power generation without CCS by 2050. And we also need a green fund for paying off carbon debt by using the revenue and the interest of the fund to pay for carbon removal, CDR. Okay, that's enough for the institution. And next, I will go to talk about the economic incentive policy instruments for emission reduction and carbon dioxide removal. What's the basic? This page shows the basic principles of those economic incentive policy instruments. We all are familiar with them. The first one is the principle of internalizing negative externalities. We based on this principle to tax the best using a carbon tax, energy tax, or fuel tax, or using a emission trading system. That's one is a price approach, the other a quantity approach. All of us are familiar with those approaches. And for CDR, then we need to apply the other principle. That's the principle of internalizing positive externalities. Because CDR, any effort to CDR, that will create a positive externality. Positive. Then then we need to reward those efforts of CDR. We need to reward. So by purchasing CDR services or investing in R&D of those technology, of CDR and emission reduction. And another thing we need to do is to improve income equality during the process of carbon tax or energy tax, because those taxes is a kind of will make income equality worse. So we need to use part of the revenue to improve, to using the revenue neutral recycling to improve our income or equality. Okay, this is the picture from the World Bank report. We are familiar with them. Okay, I will focus on our economic policy instrument for CDR. There are several concerns in the literature of CDR. Who will finance the overshoot reversal deploying large-scale CDR? Who will finance? That's very costly. Or the other concern is that some people may favor future CDR because because we will do CDR in the future, so we can delay our emission reduction at present. So we have heard a lot of this kind of talk, this kind of thinking. So we can wait in the future. Actually, Norhaus has said this many, many years ago. In one paper, slow or not too slow. Slow or not slow. Yeah, maybe, yeah. We should go. That's his idea about 20 years ago. But now he changed his mind. The other concern is that because of this, the CDR, because of CDR in the air, then we may delay our emission reduction. And so the proposal is that it is imperative to establish distinctly separate policy framework for ER and for CDR. We should put them separately. We cannot put them together. The other concerns, including carbon reversal and carbon leakage. Okay, carbon reversals, especially that's carbon sequestered through MBS, such as reforestation, is susceptible to reversal due to both natural disturbance, and we know that it's not a permanent removal. And the other one is the carbon leakage. I will skip this one. Okay. To address carbon reversal and carbon leakage effects requires that comprehensive accounting across sectors and activities. And that's, okay, this is the category of the price incentive mechanism for CDR. It's a representative from Hickey's and his co-author's paper. Okay, so there are three kinds. That's a public part of CDR mechanism. One is market-based, the other one is public procurement, the other one is fiscal incentive. I will focus on market-based. And there are two kinds. One is carbon pricing and the markets. The other one is tradable obligation schemes. That's new. Now there are two kinds. That's a CRO and a CTPO. I will talk about it later. And under carbon pricing and markets, there's another one that's called tax fund. I will discuss these three. a new or innovative mechanism. And we know carbon tax, and emission trading scheme, so I will skip those two, and then we know how to use our carbon pricing revenue. And so let's talk about what's a tax fund system. Tax fund system is an integration of traditional carbon pricing policy with CDR fund. It is proposed by BENA in 2021 in Nature, the Journal of Nature. The mechanism is that, so we collect carbon tax. The government collects carbon tax based on the greenhouse gas emissions. And then a portion of the tax revenue is allocated to a carbon CDR fund. And the interest earned from the fund is used to finance government-led CDR initiatives or to purchase CDR services from external providers. By using only the interest, the principal will grow and remain available for future generations to meet greater demand for CDR in the net negative economy after 2050. So let's see how it works. Okay, there are players, emitters. We have emitters here, government and CDR projects. Emitters emit CO2 into the atmosphere, then they have to pay a tax, carbon tax. And the carbon tax will be accumulated. The government will use the revenue of carbon tax into a CDR fund, and the principal of the stock of the CDR fund will grow gradually. And the CDR project manager or the firms to implement a CDR project, then they will reduce CO2 from or remove CO2 from the atmosphere and then earn a CDR certificate. And the government using the interest of the fund to pay for this certificate. So that's a very simple approach. And for CRO, what's CRO? CRO is called carbon removal obligation. It is introduced by BENA in these papers. The government mandates emitters to assume a CRO equivalent to their emissions. So it's an obligation, assume an obligation to remove a carbon they emit. By the CDR maturity date, emitter must either directly remove an equivalent amount of GHG from the atmosphere or to purchase removal units from the CDR market. To encourage early action and mitigate default risk. There's a risk of default, okay? They may just go away and then do not remove the greenhouse gases from the air. So, in order to encourage early and mitigate default risk, emitters must pay a carbon date premium every year until the CRO is fulfilled. Just like interest rate, that's the interest that he has to pay. So this is the diagram here. Emitters emit CO2 into the atmosphere, then he assumes a CRO, carbon removal obligation, by the regulator. And they later they will go to there's a project manager or project firm, CDR project firms. They generate they remove CO2 from the atmosphere and earn a removal unit. And the emitters buy the removal unit for CDR price. There's a price for the removal. And then to cancel this removal unit. And during this period, they have to pay premium every year. There's another one, similar one, it's called a carbon take-back obligation. I will skip this one. It's close to CRO, but that's the difference between these two. That's a CRO. For CRO, the scope is all emitters required to execute CDR, but for CTBO, only fossil fuel supplies are required. So I will skip this one. Okay, that's the CRO framework I just mentioned. Okay, that's the comparison of tax fund system and the CRO. I will skip this page. Okay, so data, that's the last part of my talk. How many minutes do I have? Okay, very close. Okay, here I use E3ME model to simulate these two kind of instruments to try to know what's the economic and environmental impacts. Okay, there's a brief introduction to the E3ME model. It is a global macroeconometric model. It covers 71 regions and with 44 economic sectors in each region. It can project forward annually up to 2060. And this model is developed by Cambridge Econometrics. And many colleagues here in this room has used this model to study many aspects of climate change mitigation policies. Okay, that's a region, that's the sectors, and that's the energy and emissions. Okay, I will skip those. Okay, that's the scenarios we studied. We have, other than BAU, we have 3 scenarios. These two, HTL and MAC, are tax fund system, and the last one is CRO, carbon removal obligation. For these two, what's the difference between these two is that the first one following the Hotelian rule, because the remaining carbon budget is a depletable resources. It is a depletable resource, so we can apply the famous Hotelian rule. That's the rule for this depletable resource. With the carbon price revenue managed through a tax fund system. For MAC stands for marginal abatement cost. So the carbon date for each period is set as the sum of target emission reduction and carbon dioxide removal. We have a target of these two every year, and then that's the we need to remove every year, with the corresponding MAC as the carbon price managed through a tax fund system. And for CRO, CRO is adopted globally as the sole carbon pricing tool, with the total greenhouse gas emissions for each period as the target. total emissions for each period as the target. That's the difference is that here, the target for each year is the sum of target emission reduction. That's the target is set out by the government. But here, it is the total emission. In addition to these three different kinds of price instruments, all of them also need to have this deep decarbonization policies in 5 carbon-intensive sectors: energy, transportation, steel, chemicals, and cement. Because we know that we cannot rely only on the pricing instruments or economic incentive program to meet this net zero goal target. It's impossible. So we need to use those command control policy instrument too. So that's the result of this, the first scenario. That's a hotelian rule scenario. And I will not go into detail of those results, but I'd like to let you know what's the meaning of those line and the area. This one, red one, is the net greenhouse gas emissions. And the gray one is the amount of CDR every year. And the blue one is the principal accumulated of the CDR fund accumulated. And then this light blue one is the payment for CDR using the interest of the fund. That's for MAC. And this one is the result of the CRO scenario CRO. The difference is that there's no fund. There's no fund, CDR fund. So only that's the net emissions, and that's the payment. Okay, blue one is the payment, and gray one is the amount of CDR annually. So let's see this number. Let's all the numbers. Okay, we can see that for CDR scenario, there is no overshoot. There's no overshoot. But for these two tax fund system, there will be overshoot after 2033 or 2034. That means the carbon budget will be depleted by this year. And the year of net negative emission, will be the CR will meet this year earlier than the other two. So the other two, that means there's an overshoot and then return to net zero by 2050 or 2047. And this is the total amount of CDR from 2050 to 2050. So it's much higher from CDR scenario than the other two. And then the proportion of the CDR, cumulative CDR to carbon date is much higher also on the CRO scenario. So that's the first. That's the impacts on environmental impacts. Okay, we see that scenario CRO is the fastest scenario to achieve net negative emissions, doing so in just 18 years, and no overshoot occurs. But the other two, the other tax fund systems will have overshooting overshoot. Okay, but for hoteling scenario, it will gradually increase carbon price. The gradually increased carbon price will allows a market adaptation. The scenario MRC, so despite its lower initial CDR capacity, long-term fund accumulation ensure similar climate outcome to other costly carbon removal, carbon pricing. Result, second is about the economic impact, economic effects. Okay, we use, it is measured by discounted cumulative GDP change from BAU or disposal personal income cumulative, discounted. We use this number to compare. Okay, that's the result. I will skip those diagrams, and then from here, actually, it's very important to know that carbon pricing and the deep decarbonization policy drive significant investment in emission reduction and CDR, leading to increased national investment spending and GDP growth. That's the very unique results, and that means we can have a win-win solution. Win-win solution. We can have reduce the emissions and the CDR, and at the same time we can have GDP growth. So those economics and environment are not a choice, but we can have a win-win scenario. So for CRO, with the highest carbon price, CRO framework allows emitters to directly use their carbon pricing revenue for CDR investment. So the difference between these two systems, one, for tax fund system, we need to have a government in between to collect tax and then use that to buy CDR. But for CRO, then the emitters, then they have the obligation. In order to meet their obligation, they need to use their own money for CDR investment. So that's the result. We have other results, so I will skip those. Those are effects on industries. Okay, there's a discussion, energy sector or others. I will skip those. So, in conclusion, failing to reduce annual greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050 and the negative after 2050 will lead to irreversible climate change and extreme climate risk to the survival of human civilization. This is very important. We know that, but sometimes we forget. Okay. The remaining 1.5 degrees C carbon budget would run out within next 10 years. The emission after remaining carbon budget is depleted our carbon debt. This is a new idea, new idea. Carbon debt generated thereafter must be repaid using costly carbon dioxide removal methods. However, the institutions and the policy instruments to guarantee the potentially very costly repayment has not yet been extensively studied. So I encourage our colleagues here to study the policy instruments and institutions for our next generation. our next generation. First, the institution I suggest is the Climate Club proposed by Barnett and Victor and study by Norhaus and to solve the problem of global common pool resources and intergenerational global public goods. That's the problem. That's the cause of those slow steps or failed institutions. Second, two promising negative carbon economy policy instruments are the tax fund system and the carbon removal obligations. The model simulation shows that CRO has more substantially positive environmental and economic effects. That's a win-win solution. So that's my talk. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah.
So in your presentation, you mentioned at least three major models for the carbon removal application and scenarios. So we know that carbon removal is kind of a negative carbon technology, right? So you remove that, okay? So, but my question is that there you mentioned the carbon prices. For example, in the hoteling scenario, you say carbon pricing are increasing. But my question again is, in these models, there must be a carbon price, but how would you set up the carbon prices, and are the carbon prices in these models, can they be good references for example, for the policy instruments in Asia or in the world? Yeah.
Thank you for your question. That's a good one because I did not explain the pricing following the principle or following hoteling rule. Okay, hoteling rule told us the price of the depletable resource will increase annually at the rate of interest, until the price meet the price of backstop technology. So that's a basic message from hoteling. So by how to apply this hoteling rule in this case? First, we need to know what's the price of backstop technology. And the backstop technology, we think in this case, that's the price of CDR, carbon dioxide removal technologies. And then so we got this number from AR6 assessment, IPCC assessment report, the report of first group. Okay, there's a good review of all of the literature about the price or the cost, not price, cost, unit cost of different kind of a CDR. That's a very good review. And so that's a high, there's a very big difference among different CDR methodologies, methods or technologies. Some are very cheap and some are very expensive. But we use a very, not average number, but the median one. We use that median one as median price and median cost of CDR in that review as the cost, as the price of CDR, as the price of CDR. And the price of CDR is the price of backstop technology. And then, so we calculate the price of carbon every year using the interest rate, and then we get the path of the price. So I'm not sure if my presentation is clear or not. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Professor Daji. So my question is that it seems what will happen if we're not achieving or we increase the global temperature more than 1.5 degree? Are we now start to invest to adopt technology, developing technology to adopt that we're going to live with that higher, much more warmer, or we trying to keep controlling? So where we should put our main effort if we actually cannot achieve the target?
Okay, it's better to use the presentation to discuss with you. But what will happen if we cannot meet? That's your question. We cannot meet the tipping point of 1.5 degrees C. According to IPCC's assessment report, that's the reference we use. After 21 first, if we cannot meet, then the temperature will be higher than 1.5 degrees C. How much? There are many different scenarios. But based on the lifestyle currently in the world, then it's very likely the temperature increase will be 5 degrees C, not 1.5. 5 degrees C. But it does not stop there. It will keep on become warmer and warmer, 5, 6, or 7, or 8 degrees C. And according to IPCC assessment report, okay, assessment report, let me return. No more. Okay, according to IPCC assessment report, it's a very dangerous, and all the impacts on different systems, land system, ocean system, or a mountain, or all are in red, or in red. Let me see this. I'd like to see this one. You see, the last one. Yeah. That's 5 degrees. This is a 5 degrees C. 5 degrees C by 2100. 2100. Okay. 5 degrees C. Then it's a very, very serious problem. I'd like to raise your attention to this result in IPCC assessment report. But usually we just read the last part, not the first one. This is the first report. There are 3 reports, but this is the first one. And usually that's the job of scientists. Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much, Daiji. It's a very impressive presentation because negative emission should be made as the most inconvenient tools if we take seriously the 1.5 degree goal. And I have 3 things. One is say which one is to, okay. One is a comment and a question. You are talking about institution. That is an important thing. I know that Node houses, dice model's optimal path of emission is quite similar to the NDC's path that is planned by each countries under the Paris agreement. I think that it means that actually the optimal path is all approximately will be realized by the NDC's path, but it is inconsistent with 1.5 degrees Celsius. That means that is almost optimal path, so that there is very little problem of the externalities, also strategic interaction bias or game theoretic externalities. Rather than something is problem to make the difference between the optimal path in economics and 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we have to consider the right institution which bridges this gap. So what do you think about this point relating to the right or just institution?
Yeah. Okay. Know-how's dice model first. It is an optimization model. And for this case of climate change, I don't think optimization model is the right model. It's not the right model for the problem, to solve the problem, or to simulate the policy impacts for climate change mitigation. Because in the optimization model, we need to know the benefits and the cost of mitigation. But the benefit part, that means the damage of climate warming, is very difficult. And we don't know, actually we don't know. We don't know the number. It's impossible to know. You know, that's my part of my research interest in the last decade, several decades. That's the damage assessment or benefit assessment, benefit and cost analysis. But my conclusion is that the benefit part of global warming mitigation is unknown. We don't know. So the best approach, just like this one, is to have a target first. The target, that's a 1.5 degrees C by 2100. Okay, that's a target. And the target, this target is, how can we get this target? That's based on scientific study, because there's a risk analysis, a kind of risk analysis. It says that if we cannot meet this target, then we will be in a very serious problem. That's the end of human civilization. That's very serious. So we cannot take risk, this kind of risk. So that's a target. Then the next question is, we use cost effectiveness analysis to meet the target. To meet the target. That's the model we use. That's the approach. We have the target first, and then to find the path for how to meet the one. Okay, that's the first one.
To pursue the target. That is
target.
But my question is another one. What is the source of the win-win situation about your simulation?
Okay, that's the unique feature of E3ME model, because it is a macroeconometrics model. We simulate the impacts in economics and environmental quality, that's emission, based on past behavior indicators in the economy in every country. Okay.
Last one is my comment about the hoteling rule. The result of the hoteling model showed that carbon budget gives us a wrong message. Actually, that we know the carbon budget experientially, but actually the carbon dioxide or climate change problem is not same as exhaustible resource. Because of that, actually, if we consider the theoretical model, we go to the, we continuously emit the carbon dioxide, and the price reaches to the backstop carbon removal, the price of the carbon dioxide removal, then we switch just technology. But this is a not good idea. If we see the carbon budget like exhaustible resource problem, then we will have such a strange treatment. So that it means that carbon budget gives us a wrong message to the,
Yeah, we, carbon budget, the remaining carbon budget, we see remaining carbon budget as depletable resources, as a depletable resource. But actually, we will keep on depleted after the remaining carbon budget is repleted. We keep on emitting greenhouse gases. We cannot stop that. It's different from other natural resources, such as oil or gas. So but we use this idea to set up the price first by 2050. That's the price, because by that day we need to switch to CDR. But actually we use CDR not until that day, but we apply CDR from now on up to in the future. So that's an idea we use, but it's not exactly the same as the Hotelian rule for oil and gas. But it's a good study topic. I know you are the expert of Hotelian rule, so I invite you to study this. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Beauty, Professor Xiao, and Professor Hu for your insightful presentations. Honorable professors and participants, here are some following reminders you may pay attention. First, please have a commemorative signature and a registration counter in your break time.
各位贵宾，请记得在休息时间至签到处纪念板留言或留下纪念签名。
Second, please use the corn-based cutlery provided in your gift bag during lunch to support environmental sustainability. Thank you.
为响应环保，请各位贵宾于中午用餐时使用礼袋内附的玉米制餐具，谢谢。
Third, for purple T-shirt in your gift bag, please check your size. If it's not fit, you can ask the staff to change.
在您的礼品袋中有一件紫色纪念衫，若您觉得尺寸不符，可告知穿着紫色衣服的工作人员要求更换。
Fourth, lunch will be served in eco-friendly meal boxes. After your meal, please make sure to return the meal boxes and do not take them with you. Thank you. Guests may dine in the semicircular space next to a conference hall or in a classroom on the first floor of the adjacent education building. If you have any problem, you can ask staff members in purple clothing for assistance.
今日中午餐点为环保餐盒，用餐完毕后请勿吸走，并将餐盒归还，谢谢。各位贵宾可至会议厅隔壁的半圆空间以及隔壁教育馆1楼的教室用餐。若有任何问题，可询问穿紫色衣服的工作人员。祝您用餐愉快，谢谢。